Welcome into Inside LAFC, the Max and Vince podcast. Before I go any further, everyone just stop and take a second. Look at me. Or if you're listening, listen closely.
If you're listening, stare at your car radio right now.
You listen too, La Rosa.
Okay, sorry, Max.
Well, you can get in on this. So I want to make this abundantly clear, and I want it while we have the undivided attention, at least I hope, here at the beginning of the podcast. We're going to talk about the All-Star game. We need all of you. We're going to talk about that in our second segment. We're going to talk about the Whitecaps game. We'll probably preview the Galaxy a little bit. Our team is in a bad spot, a dilemma. The effort is there. We are hosting an All-Star game as LAFC. You can jump in on here too afterwards. We're hosting an All-Star game with lots of festivities, lots of events, and we have a Galaxy game. We can't put our guard down. We can't check out. We have got to make the commitment or reinforce the commitment we've had for this club once again for this week. Get out to events, get on your social media, talk to your friends, wear your gear. This is the time that we always talked about. When the times are good, we're always there. When the times are not so good, we got to be there too. So do everything you can because the club needs you. We've got to get this city buzzing for the All-Star game. Obviously, we can't catch a break with the All-Star game. A lot of events we'll talk about in particular, including Carlos Vela. We've got to do our part, and we've got to sing from the mountaintops and get people hyped because this is where the fans, the supporters make a difference. You can all make a difference. We're going to try and make a difference on this podcast. We're going to get out there. I was at the EMLS event, got to do it. I'm going to try and be at everything I can possibly be. And I'm going to say how proud I am of this club, how proud I am to wear the black and gold, and I know you feel the same way.
Wow. You guys,
I kind of surprised you with that, right?
Yeah, you guys can't see or hear this, but the whole crew is giving Max a standing ovation. It was his George S. Patton moment. I felt like you should have been walking back and forth with the crest.
My eyes have seen the coming. Oh, sorry.
Wow. That was stream of consciousness.
You want to get one in? Get one in there too, Vince. Get one in there.
I don't have a big long speech. I think I did enough.
But you agree
on Twitter. I do agree. Look, man, we don't come here saying we have answers. We come here to provide context for you, and to continue to provide you a window and insight into your club. And we do that every week. It's not always easy, but we get up for it every single week. You and I work on this really hard, and throughout the week we continue to do it. And to your point, it's a huge week. It's a monumental week for the club, for the stadium, for MLS, Liga MX, MLS All-Stars. Like you said, there is a few little blips in the road, but I think it's still going to be a fantastic event. And then it's going to be all capped off by the fact that we get to host the rivalry game Saturday right after it. This is a huge week.
We know people will get engaged for the Galaxy. We always do. And hopefully that's a launch point for this team to get well. We have seen so many positive signs. You may not find that hard to believe, but we have seen so many positive signs from this team. But that All-Star game, even though key players are not going to be part of it, and we know, I've talked to the folks at MLS, they're gripping too because you wanted Chicharito and Vela to take on the Liga MX All-Stars. This is sports, not going to happen that way, but it still has a lot of clout. MLS, I don't want to lose to Liga MX.
No.
I want to beat them.
Well,
and remind them.
We shouldn't. Our talent is better. We did that team builder thing with Alexi Mariano and Jerry. And before we even started, we all kind of were at, I don't want to out Mariano and Jerry, but they kind of agreed on this because Alexi and I looked and we said, the high-end talent on this MLS team is better than the high-end talent on
even missing the injured players.
You start to,
it's a lot, though.
Maybe not that
Carlos
far.
Gil, who could be the MVP, won't be there.
Yep.
Tejan Buchanan, one of the best young players in this league, won't be there. Vela Chicharito, but the gap's closed a bit with the things. But it's still Liga. Doesn't matter who's playing. Doesn't matter.
Right.
We've got to protect our house.
Yeah, I still think the MLS All-Stars, even without those guys, should be able to handle business. I honestly do. And you call me a homer, but if you just look at the ceiling of the players that are on that team, it's a lot higher than what you have at Liga MX. And I like a lot of those guys, but Gignac, he's old, man.
Yeah. He is old.
He just played in the Olympics. You know,
I think this MLS team can run a lot and run them, get those Liga MX All-Stars tired. And no one's going to play a full 90 minutes. Maybe someone's going to play 60 minutes tops, I would think. It's a huge All-Star roster. Mm-hmm. And Bob Bradley talked about it. He will be coaching it. And he's mentioned what an honor it is. But it interrupts his prep for a huge game that's made even bigger by the run of results here. But he's not going to push anyone too much. They want to win, but that's an element. But what the means of who plays and how it gets there, everyone who takes that field is going to want to do their part to get a victory for the league. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even the skills challenge is something that like no one wants to lose that. You want to show off. And
once that starts,
it's for the TikTok generation.
Yes.
You know.
Yes. We'll get back to the All-Star game. I just wanted to talk to you. We know you're hurting. The loss this weekend, we were all in a major malaise. I was driving back from our studios at Estrella at Burbank. That drive was not fun. And I was just thinking stuff, and I felt bad. I felt bad for the players. I felt bad for Bob. I felt bad for the coaching staff. I felt bad for everyone. That Seth Burton, who was up there in Vancouver. All these guys, they're gutted, and we could be. There's reason to be critical. You can't give up leads. It's a bad habit LAFC has had. Mm-hmm. You can't give up leads there. If that game ended 1-1, you're like, okay, we'd like to win, but 1-1 we can accept, kind of go in there. And they lost, and it was a Portland game. There was the game against Minnesota where points are dropped, and you start adding those points, and you're like, whoa, you had the points. All of a sudden, LAFC's in fourth place. But you can't do that. But that's a bad habit that they have to work on. And you can touch on that here, but the signs that this team is working hard to get out of this funk are there. The performances that were had by players that may not have had a good game in recent weeks were certainly there this weekend. I think two massive examples of that, which we can get into.
Yeah, so it's interesting when we talk about these games, and I know that we are all kind of watching these games week to week, and every time you're like, oh, it's just another disappointment. The games have not been the same, though. They give up late goals in different ways, but they play differently. I think for me, the lowest point, and I told you this, was San Jose.
Yeah,
they were. I don't even know what they were doing.
Second best that whole game.
Second best the whole game. Second best to every ball. There was no organization on top of it, so it was like, where's the midfield? What's going on? Then Atlanta, they play a little bit better. Still disappointed by the result, but you and I both agreed that they played an even first half with Atlanta. Second half, they were better than Atlanta, but just weren't sharper. This game, they come out, and they're peppering that goal. I mean, it's astounding to me that the only goal LAFC scored was from a penalty that we could say is debatable at best.
I was happy we got it, but I was like, if they called that against us, I would be livid.
Yeah, but for once, like VAR swung in our favor.
We were due.
But no, they were. To your point, it's like they've looked at those games and they've taken the best of what they've done in those games and tried to apply it forward. And I have people asking me like, well, what do they do now? They must be completely devastated. I'm like, yes and no, because what they're going to look at and say, man, we created so many chances. If we could just be a little bit sharper and score some goals and maybe get, a little bit of luck, which they did with the VAR, but a little bit more luck. Maybe don't hit so many posts.
That was unbelievable.
They had defenders flying through the air to block shots. Crepeau was pretty good. Like, they're going to look at that and say, we lost. But man, there's been games where we've lost and we haven't created much. There's been games when we lost and when we've been disorganized. This one, they passed. I mean, it wasn't the turf for once. I know it was a little rough in the beginning where they were kind of trying to find their footing, but they kind of switched the tactic a little bit, started going more direct. We're like, fine, we can't pass through the midfield here. This turf is a little funky. Let's try to find other ways. And they were.
There's no way you can argue that. It is funky. And it's got to drive Vancouver bonkers, although they've gotten used to it more than opponents. But it is hard. That thing was... We don't want to make it. And LAFC has a very poor record on the turf, and they've got to fix that. They've got to find a way to get results on the turf because there's too many teams in your conference that play on turf that you have to fix it. That's it.
Yeah.
Find a way to do it.
But would you agree, if you're a team, you can't just go, oh my God, back to the drawing board, we start all over again. No. You take the good things, you try to tweak those a little bit. You take the bad things, you try to sharpen up a little bit. I mean, the one biggest thing that I took away from this is we really can't defend crosses.
Yeah, both those goals. And that was something from 2020 too. And we saw it from set pieces and corners, which they fixed. I was enthused by the fact that when the corner kicks, and they faced a lot, could have given a goal up there. They were locked in. There was balls that came a bit close. Vancouver very good on corner kicks. And LAFC handled those. It was like 8 in the first 20, 30
They
minutes.
peppered them with corner kicks, but you got it. It's like they need to start to have that mentality in the run of play too. Like, we're just gonna head everything out. We're the first to the ball. They're just not first to the ball in crossing situations.
That's frustrating because that keeps coming up, and they're getting burned by it regularly. When the Vancouver game, I think the one thing you've got to really look at from LAFC is the players' mentality. And I know we've said this before, is do you check out a little bit because of the frustration? You have every reason. We can see how they are gripping. Diego Rossi had a little pump of the fist when he scored a goal. You could see it was just a release. It was a cathartic moment for him to be able to do that. Brian Rodriguez had a really good game.
This is his best game since he's been back.
It's his game.
I know that it's a low
minutes.
bar, but he was finding ways as, like I said, tactically, Bob had a pretty good plan in that first half. When he kind of saw the team wasn't passing the way he probably liked through midfield and was actually causing themselves some problems by doing that. We said Mamadou had some nervy moments passing out of the back. He said, I think he had
the 2-for-1 at the beginning.
Yeah, he had
I was like,
Mamadou.
And
That's
what you get with 18-year-old players.
He kept bailing himself out and then putting himself back into trouble and then bailing himself out, which, hey, look, he didn't quit. He didn't give up, to your point. But I think Bob at a certain point was like, Edward, can you just run it? And it's fine if you can't find a pass. We'll go long to our forwards, and we'll go 3v4 versus them, and we still like our odds because Sifu can then crash the box, and we can create some opportunities. And Brian started to thrive. Like, he was getting in his spots. He was not as clean on the dribble, but the strength to hold off guys and get by guys in a scrappy moment was great. And then, he laid some passes that should have been finished. They really should have been finished. The cutbacks were so good.
He took on a defender 3 occasions, beat him, which also led to the penalty where he cut inside. At the very least, we know, and we talked to John Thorrington last week, it's about creating a shop window for players that are coveted by European clubs. Brian Rodriguez is one of them. If you're interested in getting Brian Rodriguez, you watch that tape and you're like,
there's pieces.
I like what I see. There's pieces. It's not perfect. It's still a lot of work to be done, but it's not a throwaway of this situation with Brian Rodriguez. Eduardo Atuesta, I thought, had his best game in a while, too.
Absolutely. He's been anonymous.
That is so key.
He had been anonymous for me for a little bit, even in that Atlanta game. Really could have used somebody like Edward, and he just wasn't kind of really around. This was him, and you and Warren said it. He was kind of quarterbacking it. He was running it. He was getting on the ball. He was making himself available. And look, I've had people getting at me all weekend saying,
by the way, you feel people rolling their eyes as we're talking
I do,
about,
absolutely.
Here you guys go again.
Look,
take this team to task. Well,
to all you people that are hate listening, hello. Hi, how are you?
Guys.
How did you make it this far into the podcast if you hate us so much? But we'll get it on Twitter. But no, look, we got on Twitter like, Vince, I can't believe you're willing to die on this hill. You're so wrong. You're so
wrong.
About
the stats?
Stats, about Bob, about everything. And the big point is this. So I've been getting this thrown at me. Chelsea made a change, and they got Thomas Tuchel. And so, you make a change. It always gets better. I go, it does not always get better.
Does not.
It does not.
It gets worse often.
You guys happen to pick the one. And by the way, Chelsea almost did not qualify for the Champions League despite winning it. If you remember, he wasn't, not like they were killing everyone in the league, but he's a great cup coach because he's a great tactical coach. I'm not saying that can't happen, but it's not a sure thing that you change. And to the point of
West Brom was struggling. They brought Big Sam. Whoop.
Yeah. Big Sam, who had never gone down, had always kept clubs in.
We're just throwing an example.
Finally went down. But what I'm saying is when you think about the reasons to maybe make a change, you start to say, okay, results come first, right? Results are the highest thing. And that's when you start to go, okay, some alarm bells here. And then you start to look at, okay, well, what's our identity? Are we still playing to an identity? I think, the Galaxy last season, they had a coach that his identity was get it to Zlatan, and then I don't know what else. And when they didn't have Zlatan, they were like, if you don't have another plan, we need something else. And they made the right change at the right time. But the identity from LAFC is still there. Like we said, they created a ton of chances. Yes, they're very unlucky and also just very poorly executing those chances. I can't argue with that. So smart clubs look and say, well, what are we doing? What are we still doing? And so they'll look at this and say, there's still an identity there. They're still creating things. And then the third thing, which you you've been bringing up a lot, which people aren't giving you enough credit for, is you look at the players and say, are the players completely tuned out? And Toronto had a full mutiny, and so they had to change. They had bad results.
Red Bulls.
They had bad results. They had a coach that did not fit their identity.
Or Atlanta had a kind
Both.
of a mutiny.
Atlanta and Toronto both had the three things that I just said. Bad results, no identity that they could count on, that the players wanted to be a part of, and the players revolted. You have not hit those three criteria, to my knowledge, yet. That's where I'm coming from. That's how I'm basing it. You can have your own way of how you put things together, but to my knowledge, that is how smart clubs run their business. This is not Barcelona where you just throw more money at it. And look what's happened to them anyways. They threw more money at that problem for a long time, and now they're hemorrhaging.
You can't throw more money at LAFC.
No,
or
it's MLS. You can't.
LAFC are still building for the next season. Bob has given us so many great memories. The team is built around that. If things got really bad, say they lost 3 or 4 more in a row, you still see this through. You see this through. Then you don't make a knee jerk, and then you reassess at the end. I think it's going to get better. And the part about, by the way, have you ever seen the movie The Bounty? Anthony Hopkins, Mel Gibson, about the mutant on the Bounty?
Not in a long time. That's a
Captain
long movie.
Bligh.
Isn't that like a 3-hour movie?
Oh, so good. Peter Weir, I believe, did that.
That's like that Russell Crowe, what was it?
Master and Commander.
That's another. You're a man
Very
of the
nautical.
You're a man of the sea. Is that why you're out Redondo?
Captain. Yes.
You're a maritime type person.
I want a boat, and I just want to sail away. So the players
With
have
Christopher
not,
Cross.
Yeah.
Some yacht rock?
Don't get me off track.
I know, but I know you.
Howard Stern
Cross.
had Christopher Cross. This is years ago, obviously.
Okay.
In his show, on his show, and Christopher Cross sang "Sailing," and it goes sailing, sailing. Oh, the sailing.
Oh, you know the song. You know.
And then the song ends, and Howard Stern goes, "What's that song about?" That was so good.
See, this is what people come to the podcast.
Yes,
for.
we go.
For some seriousness, and then Vince trying to throw. I'm just trying to throw darts and throw you off your.
Do you think bands want to be classified as yacht rock? No.
I mean, now.
I mean, it's good, but if you're, hey, our song just got on yacht rock.
Yeah.
Yikes.
You're like,
which I listen to all the time.
You're like, we're yacht rock, and think of what our demographic is. A lot of people with disposable income.
To get back on
Because clearly they have a stupid yacht.
Yes, I know. We all want a yacht. We want to be oversized sunglasses, a shirt, silk shirt opened up.
Yeah.
Some
nice swim trunks.
A little champagne.
Some docksiders.
Bottle on the ice.
Yeah.
The players haven't checked out. Maybe it does happen. Maybe they're frustration, but I never see it, and they hit the ground running. And I think playing the Galaxy this weekend will prevent that happening this week. Yeah. So timing-wise, it's good. You're locked in. Let's get these guys. We're at home. It's going to be well attended. You're not going to feel the malaise because everyone knows the importance of this game.
Yeah, because imagine that Vancouver game, and imagine them when it goes 1-1, and they're just like, oh, God, let's hang on for dear life. That's not what they did. They were like, we can't score to save our lives, but we're going to still go for it because we still believe we can create chances and we should be able to score sooner or later. I think that result would have been so much worse if they had sat back and tried to hold a lead and then lost it, right? Don't you? Because because to the point of that is not the identity of the club.
Well, let's talk about that because that is in a situation where you want to grind out a result. You're up 1-0. You're in the second half. How do you do? It's not the identity of the club. So I'm willing to have a conversation about that. Mm-hmm. Bob and his team are going to win. Everyone who's watching that game says, go out and win this game.
Yeah.
We're all saying, go out and win it. You may leave yourself in some situations. The left side was open. Bob talked about that as well. Mm-hmm. We lost the game. I think I would like to see the team kind of say, all right, let's.
But would you? No, because think about it.
Individual circumstance,
yeah,
yes.
But think about it as as a poker player, as a gambler, as a risk reward analysis of the scenario. You're 1-0 up.
It goes against the grain of.
Well, it goes against the grain of what your team's identity is. So, do you want to go out on your shield, or do you want to be that team that says, "Well, we tried to grind it out and it didn't work"? I'm just saying, if the result is going to be the result, how would you rather go out? LAFC, from day one, has said we try to score the second goal, we try to finish teams off, and when they were doing it in 2019, they were killing teams. And some of that is luck, like remember we talked to Bob, they'd said in 2019, they were like, we knew we were going to be a very good team, but there was a certain point in the season where we were like, whoa, we could be a record-setting team. And they never, It was probably about 3/4 away in the season when they actually said, we want this. They never wanted it. They just wanted to be a good team, get a high spot they could in the playoffs, and move into the playoffs. But when they started to see, like, some things have fallen our way, let's really go for it. Unfortunately, this season's been the upside down. But the identity stays. I just don't know if you can change your identity on the fly. And to your point, some people might want that. So if you want that, I understand. You want to change identity, but that's going to take change of personnel, both on,
and they
on
don't
staff
they
and
probably
coaching,
don't have that personnel
change
right now.
of players. Yeah. It'll be a full tear-down rebuild if you want to completely change the identity. And I don't think, look, everybody wants to win, but I don't know, man. In year 4, if we can look back in year 10 and say that the foundation for this club is to be a proactive club that wants to score goals, that wants to be on the front foot, that doesn't mind winning games 3-2, and man, I have so much fun because we win games 3-2, you'd take that over, oh yeah, we've become a Jose Mourinho disciple, and we grind out 1-0 victories, and sometimes it's just, I'm so bored, and I don't like my players that are on my team, and they don't do things that excite me anymore, but man,
I'm so bored.
But man, we win
1-0.
But man, we win
so
some games.
bored with this.
Man, we win some games. I mean, I get it. I don't know if the ends always justify. It's the ends justifying the means for everybody. It's the trophy culture. That's fine. But I feel like I think that a lot of our fans are not smarter, but they're more sophisticated. They're more sophisticated in their approach, and they can say, I was going to be in it for the long haul anyway, so why don't I have a team that I actually like, that goes for it and has courage?
Yeah. I still think LAFC finishes 5th in the West. You look at the standings, they're in 9th. That's terrible. That's
it's
terrible.
Not good.
But you look around, no one's like, other than Seattle and Sporting, Galaxy have come back to.
In both conferences, there's a gap. There's a top like two front runners that have taken off, and then everyone else just is sandwiched. And like you literally could be in last
there
and pop up to 4th in no time.
It's hard to believe that this will keep going. If it does, then we gotta, like my mom would do. I'm Cuban. We'd go see a santero, witchcraft.
Yeah, you burn some sage and
cut off a goat's head. I'm just kidding.
Whoa,
just kidding. I'm just kidding. That was a good movie. Put some candles around, get some good light. My mom will tell you all about it. We're Catholic.
Is she the guest today?
But she looks for anything that works.
And we'll bring Max's mom on right after. No,
if you guys want my mom on here, she would love it.
Does she listen?
No, she listens to some of the stuff on YouTube, so she has listened to some of our shows. She's watched it, so
good.
Maybe that's a good idea.
Does she critique your outfits? Is she ever like, Max, what?
Not really.
What were you thinking this time? Oh, that's nice.
Sometimes, maybe how I style my hair. I'm kind of running on empty here.
Speaking of, you have a cool shirt on.
Oh, thank you. I wanted to say, we're going to talk about the All-Star game in our next segment, and the LAFC situation. Well, I'll get back to it. 2 things.
If you're watching.
First concert at Bank of California Stadium, got to see it. Guns N' Roses. They played for almost 4 hours.
What?
It was like 3 hours something.
Wow.
They had these 2 giant video boards where you could see all the guitar solos. Unbelievable. Superb.
You learn a lot.
I keep in touch with Merritt Paulson. They were just in Portland. Merritt Paulson will call you and tell you about all the situations with his team, and they're going through too. It's a lot of teams in the same boat. Fantastic. So congratulations to everyone at the stadium. First show. Now there's more shows, big shows. Go out and buy a ticket.
Did you see the opening band?
It's so good. I did not. It was
it was Wolfgang Van Halen.
I sat there for 3 hours watching Guns N' Roses. I'm not going to sit there for 5 hours.
Oh, whoa. Sorry, Max. I thought you were, rock and roll all night and party every day.
It was a long day. It was a long day, so I wanted to ease into it. But go out and see a show at Bank of California. It's fantastic. Open air. It feels safe. You'll really enjoy it. The next day, I went to the Echoplex, see my, I'll call him my friend now, Josh Kolnick, who is a Small Black. Really good. Check out Small Black. Do a download. But
Echoplex is a good place to see a show, too.
A little pricey with the bevies.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, you're in hipster territory, so.
I guess so. But yeah.
I like that Echoplex. Actually, if you think about it, a lot of good shows in just a small time period, because the same night Guns N' Roses played, Black Crowes played at the Forum. That's incredible.
Philly from Defenders, I go, hey, are you at the Guns N' Roses? He goes, no, I'm at Black Crowes. I don't like Black Crowes when I seen them.
What?
But I like their side projects are so much better. Christopher Robinson, Brotherhood,
Yeah, it's okay, but it's not better than Black Crows.
Yeah,
how?
It's Black Crows is too much hippie stuff. It's too much tambourine-y.
Wait, how is the other stuff not hippie stuff? It's like beyond
No, they grind
hippie.
it, man. Was it?
Well, the brother, the guitar player, they're a little heavier, but Chris is the lead singer. His stuff is very hippie.
But not with his solo stuff. I didn't think so at all. So, anyways, I just wanted to say that. We'll get together for LAFC and
in this
keep
break,
the optimism high. And we are. You guys are good fans. You know what's up.
Sophisticated. That was my word. That's what I wanted. Sophisticated. No, I think that they get it. They know that the results are not good enough, but they can see certain things. I saw progress from San Jose to Atlanta to this game. I would love if we create as many chances as we did in this game against the Galaxy on our beautiful grass field at Banc California Stadium. I believe that they will finish some. And look, the dam's got to break sooner or later, or else we'll just be Brighton of last season. Right now, we're Brighton of last season.
I like that jam. Is that Black
when
Crows?
the levee breaks? No, that's a Led Zeppelin
I know
song.
what the levee.
But Jimmy Page played with Black Crows for a little bit, and that was great. Those were great shows. Max, you and I are going to have it out in this break about Black Crows.
I like Black Crows, but sometimes they get in and out.
Oh.
So definitely gone to Guns N' Roses. 3 straight home games coming up. Let's go. And then you play Austin after that. You could get a bunch. I know we said it about Vancouver. They're playing well. They came out and took it. We got to do better. We got to do better in those situations. But there's enough there. There's enough meat on the bone to tell you that LAFC can get back on these rails. A lot of teams would love to be on the rails, and a lot of teams are off the rails.
They're not getting blown out. Still not getting blown out.
One blowout, which was like one of 3 in the history of the club.
Yeah.
When you say losing by 3 or more goals.
Correct.
It's happened 3 times. Okay? We'll talk about the All-Star game. Get out this week. Club needs you. Let's represent. We'll be back with more Inside LAFC, the Max and Vince podcast. Welcome back to the Max and Vince podcast. Before we get into the All-Star week.
We're going to talk about Black Crows again.
No, we're not going to talk about it. I want to talk about EMLS and a shout out to Remy Martin. Although I thought he played well, Alex Sale on our team said, no, he's got to play better.
Well, Alex Sale is the coach/GM. He's Bob and JT in one for EMLS. He's E. Thornton. He drops the hammer, man. He expects perfection.
Alex also connected me with the folks at MLS, so I appreciate that because I'd love to do it. But Remy had a partner, Daleks, who is a reggaeton urbano
I thought
artist.
you were going to say he's like a Doctor Who villain. Isn't that what those are called?
Exterminate.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I watched the old Doctor Who's, but not the new ones. Was it the Daleks?
Yeah, Doctor Who now is like,
not interested.
It's still campy, but it looks really good because they've actually like put some money into it.
Yeah.
I like the old ones because it was campy.
No, I'm talking about
like you could tell someone was in a costume. Like you could see their regular feet.
It was the actor Tom Baker, and he had a scarf around there, and he ate jelly babies. That one?
Yeah.
Really old, really dated. I'm going to go check an old episode on YouTube, or I'm sure they have it somewhere else. But Remy wasn't going to ever win it because he was partnered with that, whereas...
you just threw his partner under the bus.
He's a reggaeton artist. He's not... There was also... there was 2 FIFA streamers. Mm-hmm. Castro, who's the incredible talent, he's got it.
Yeah.
He's got it on air, all that. And AA9, who also... You can see why he's so popular on the Twitch channels. Then you had... The Galaxy had a second player... named Rossi, of all names. He was basically an EMLS player. He just dominated people.
So they got 2 EMLS players on their team.
Yes.
That's not fair.
That's not fair. So I don't think Remy would have ever had a shot because Alex said that he should have scored 5 goals. And I go, none of the EMLS players beat their other counterparts by more than a goal.
So they did like the kind of one player does one game, one does the other?
And then the celebrity influencer types.
Yeah.
Luis Hernandez and
They should
Pablo
play on the
Pardo.
same team. I like 2v2, like same team. Who's better, Pablo Pardo or Luis Hernandez?
Terrible.
Yeah?
Luis, I asked Pablo
Luis
Pardo, hey,
up?
man, how much you play? He goes, well, I play with my son sometimes. I go, that's not going to cut it. They were gone before they...
Saying how old I am now, when I was a kid, I loved Luis Hernandez.
Yeah.
He was so good.
He was good.
I wanted, because I grew up playing out here in Southern California, and that was when... No offense to our good friend Alexi Lawless and anyone on the U.S. men's national team. Not as exciting of a team as that Mexico team was with Luis Hernandez and Zaguinho.
Zaguinho.
Oh, talk about a player. But I always wanted to be like Luis Hernandez, and they always called me Zaguinho because Zage was one-footed, and I was very I was very good with my right foot, but also
Yeah.
only one-footed.
Yes.
And they're like, no, Luis can score with both feet and with his head.
I thought they call you Zaguinho because, like Zaguinho, you go to the beach in a Speedo on occasion. That wasn't it.
Hey, when in
Okay.
Rome.
Cuauhtemoc. I screwed it up already. I was going to give you a trivia. Name the 3 players who've scored more goals for Mexico than Luis Hernandez.
Cuauhtemoc Blanco,
Cuauhtemoc's one.
Chicharito,
Yes.
and Borghetti.
Yes. Congratulations.
Wow.
Very
See,
good.
I know my Mexican
Very
national
good.
team.
You would have guessed Cuauhtemoc, I'm sure, so
Probably,
I
yeah.
gave that away. So the All-Star Game is coming up on Wednesday. The big news, Carlos Vela, we knew it right away. I mean, if you injure your quad, even if it's a slight quad, you're not going to come back for an All-Star
especially
game,
when
let
it's-
alone a skills competition.
Especially when it's the same quad from before.
Correct. We hope we'll get more details. We hope, even this game this weekend, I wouldn't plan on him there. If he's there, great. But obviously, knowing the recovery period last time, it could be a little bit longer. We shall see. Don't want to speculate.
The big thing I took from that was that Bob kind of let out a little bit was Carlos has been dealing with this for a while.
Yeah.
And
Which he didn't have to tell us.
didn't have to tell us, but you remember there was that period, and yes, the results weren't all there, but Carlos was really carrying this team again. It was looking like he was the old Carlos. He was scoring. He scored like 4 straight, scoring and not easy goals. If you remember, that goal against Minnesota where he had to hold the guy off almost half the field and then put it the only place Tyler Miller couldn't get it. That was a great goal, but to think like he'd been still dealing with a quad injury and doing that, it kind of made sense why his production slightly dropped as the team dropped because, it's not easy, man. It's just a reminder that even though these guys play day in and day out 90 minutes, that they're not always 100%. They are giving a little bit of themselves every time that they go out there, just in some respects. And they're human, man.
Yeah. Well said.
Soccer's
Vince.
hard.
It is. And Carlos is throwing himself out there. He knows he is gripping. We heard what he said after the Atlanta game, and he took responsibility. We've got to step up. The leaders have got to step up. So this is obviously very frustrating. If he is out for a game or two, God forbid more than that,
We are just
Chicho time. Chicho's look good. He's been an active body, but when he's in front of goal, he's got to put it on frame.
Yeah, like everyone else, he just needs to pick up his confidence. Although he did a lot of things on the ball that were confident. That back
In a tough spot.
that back heel to Rossi in that tight space to create an opportunity out of. It's like they had the opportunity, then you're like, oh no, they lost it, and then he back heels it to Rossi. That was pretty nice. But yeah, got to get the shoot. Everyone's got to get the shooting boots on.
Somebody. I felt bad for Brian when that hit the post. He hit it. It was almost impossible to hit
He's
the
like
post.
flailing. He's on his back.
He's on his back. It's amazing he
He's
got
just
his foot on it.
He's just trying to redirect it the best he can. But man, that would have been poetic because he really did have a good game.
Yeah. That trio, if that's the trio that faces the Galaxy, Chicho,
We're just
Brian,
never going to get
and Rossi, they should still deliver.
Vela Chicharito is just never going to happen, right? Because Chicharito's not in the All-Star Challenge as well. He's been out for a long period of time.
Well, the rivalry doesn't need it. It does.
It doesn't.
But the rivalry is bigger, and that's a good feeling. But I'd love to see it at some point.
Yeah, I know a lot
have
of
one
people,
more meeting down
well, a lot
the
of people are like raining on the parade. They're like, what's the point of Liga MX versus MLS if Chicharito and Vela aren't playing? And I'm like, still a lot.
Yeah.
This is your chance to shine playing against your closest rivals, your direct competition in this landscape of getting eyeballs and getting people to watch this league, and you want to show well. Would I like them to be there? Of course, because they're fantastic players and the best at what they do, but I think this
MLS is in great shape, and I had the Soccer OG podcast. You could check that out too. I had Keith Costigan on there.
I love Keith.
He's fantastic. And we talked about MLS and what a good position it's in. So if this happened in, 2007, and you had an All-Star game, and the big star at the time, David Beckham, wasn't able to go, cataclysmic. You're like,
right.
Now you have enough guys to cover it.
Yeah, I'm curious if they're going to replace these guys. Because there is plenty of talent that could easily step up that were not named on the roster, right?
It's true. There's still plenty. There's a glut of guys.
Yeah, like if Chicharito can't go and you need a Galaxy person, Kevin Cabral.
Yep.
He's a very talented young player. I wouldn't mind seeing
Galaxy
him.
Guys in there.
Well, no, I'm saying if Chicharito can't go, you would think you would replace a Galaxy
like
for a
for
Galaxy.
like?
Yeah. To be fair, I'm just trying to be fair. What
about Grand Sear?
Now I'm going to get hammered. Grand Sear is not good. There you go. There's my Galaxy hate. I don't know what he does. Cabral, I'm afraid of a little bit. Grant Sear, not so much.
All-Star Week. Check out tickets available. Go. It's really inexpensive. If you want to do the skills competition, it's going to be fun. That's when you go in and there's a concert afterwards. Big Boy and
We learned how to say
said it right.
his name too. Wait, could we?
a Grammy award-winning DJ. I forgot his name. But this is me. This is my age showing.
Okay, well, it is part of our age because we're not this generation, but also Max and I, because we're professionals, we wanted to know how to say this name properly, and so we brought up a video, and it was Sway of MTV fame. He was doing his radio show, and he was going to bring in DJ, which Max is going to get the name because I don't want to say it wrong. But we're sitting there, we're like, he's going to say the name.
Kate Tronada.
He's going to say the name, and he's going to say it because he's obviously bringing this guy on the show. 4-minute lead up to when he finally said the name and brought the guy on the show.
Oh, God.
I mean, talk about a build-up. Man,
But he's
Sway.
got so many followers and so many downloads. I'm like, say
No,
whatever
but
you want.
Sway
But it was
went
really
hard.
annoying.
He went hard.
So you've got these skills competition. There's a concert with Kate Tronada and Big Boy underneath the torch at the Coliseum. That sounds like a ball.
That's pretty epic.
Get tickets.
It's
There's going to be a
cool-
tailgate there.
Yeah.
Get out there. And then if you can get to the All-Star game, check as well to be in and around. You're going to see some people. It's going to be a people-watching event. I'll be there.
Shameless
There's
plug.
the Charlie folks from League MX, they're going to have some big stars. And I'm talking big league, not guys playing, but guys that are involved with that are going to be in and around the venue. So soak it all in.
Charlie's a cool story.
Yeah.
Like, just a independent kit maker and kind of like took over League MX. That's kind of a cool story.
That is a cool story. That's something else.
I think they
Add
make
it
this.
to the list.
They make the signature Gignac boots too. Hey,
I really enjoyed your shot at Andre Pierre Gignac earlier.
he'll never hear it. So, I mean, and he's French.
It's French.
I'm Italian. We don't get along.
Well, the Gignac story, for those who aren't familiar, was really a groundbreaking situation where you had a player who had a huge market value in Europe and said, I'm going to go in Mexico. Tigres paid him.
Didn't he have? He has some Mexican heritage. No,
I don't know.
I thought
can't
that was
remember.
part of it. How
But
about
still,
this?
because
How about
remember,
this?
the Janssen guy went to Monterrey, and he's been a real miss.
I was gonna follow up with this.
If you're a European player, why not go to Mexico?
What about Tigres doubling down and going? It worked so well with Gignac. Let's get Thauvin.
Oh, gosh.
And they're like, wait a second.
That blew up.
Thauvin, anytime he has left French soil, has just completely disappeared. Remember, he went to Newcastle, did nothing. Goes back to France,
Lights
great
out.
player again. And you're like Tigres, and you're like, huh, maybe it could work out.
Yeah.
Not a good move.
So maybe that dies with Gignac, because the other two that have happened, Thauvin and then obviously Janssen, Vincent Janssen, have not been good. And they paid him a ton. Great for Vincent Janssen.
Yeah.
So
Is to hang out in Monterrey and have a good time.
that's a good place. Have you been to Monterrey?
I haven't, but the stadium looks fantastic. I have to get there.
I stayed there. I was calling fights, and it's there's a lot of money in that city. I don't want to get too far away.
Yeah, no.
But I went to a hotel and I crossed the street, and there was a Tesla dealership underneath a Bentley dealership underneath a Rolls Royce dealership. It was crazy money store. I mean, I can't shop here.
Did you just put your face to the
No, I walked
glass
around, had a
looking?
nice shirt on, so I walked around going, I can't decide. I'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah, you were like,
I don't know which one. Maybe I'll bring two home.
My assistant needs a new car, and I was thinking of one of these. I shop much higher than this, but
But I love it because when I was a kid, northern Mexico was mysterious. You don't go to northern Mexico. You go to Mexico City or Guadalajara. But now you have Monterrey, and the border towns are growing. So many more families there and industries. So it's good.
well, it's good because we learn a lot more about the culture, right? Like
Yes.
when I was a kid, you grew up and like it's Mexican food. There's no such thing as Mexican food in Mexico. It's regional food. Like
is.
you don't
Best
just
cuisine in the
You
world.
don't just show up and be like, oh, I want what standard Mexican fare is. They're like, no, man, we got tacos you've never seen before.
Yeah.
and just amazing things that we've got 150 different versions of mole. What?
This is a taco made of the meat that a snake consumed when it swallowed a possum, and we got the possum meat, which was really tender when it was in the snake's belly, and we put it on a taco, and it's delicious.
I mean, I tried.
That's a bit of a stretch, but you get the idea.
It's a bit of a stretch because of a snake.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hey, yeah, no.
But look, we're going on so many tangents here. The whole thing about carnitas is amazing. It's like just chop up everything that's on the pig, and then it comes out this delicious.
Well, speaking of food,
concoction.
is there any food stuff in and around these All-Star events? There's got to be.
There should be. check the details. Go to
Better
MLS.
be.
They'll have the details. Go to the LAFC website. Find out what's going on and support the club. We've got to put the chest forward so we can get another one of these games. Wear your colors around town. Get people excited so they see it. They see you, even if you're not going to the game.
You would think that this is one of many, right? Of Liga MX, MLS.
They're going to want to come to LA.
LA is the best place to do it. LA, obviously, some of the Texas venues are pretty good, but LA is pretty. I mean, this should be easily.
There's a lot of stadiums that are going to want to have the All-Star games, but this is always a tough All-Star game because of COVID, postponed here, and they have to shoehorn it in between games because there's just no room in the schedule. Maybe they say, let's push it back another year. I don't think you can do that. Things could have been worse. I think
Things could have been better.
Things could have been better, but I mean,
The calendar could have been nicer.
Yeah.
As we were talking about with a lot of guys. Carlos Heel also out.
It's tough. It's tough for these athletes. Remember them when you go through all of this.
How many of these skills challenge obstacles, I don't know what you want to call them.
John
events,
Weinbeck is going to be producing it. I saw him at the stadium. He says, you've got to see it. It'll be on FS1. They've taken it. I got to host
John,
it
who of
last
course
time they did it.
We Are LAFC, did the Jordan documentary that everyone loved. Also, I would say check out John works on the Comedy Story documentary that's on Showtime. It's very good.
I actually do have Showtime. I got rid of Epics.
I would check it out. It's very good. A lot of old footage. You know what it made me remember was Michael Keaton was once a stand-up, and he was a stand-up at the Comedy Store, and he had some funny jokes. I love Michael Keaton,
Big Michael
actor,
Keaton
but
fan.
even as a stand-up comedian, pretty funny.
All right, so I think we've covered it all.
Well, I was going to ask you, how many of those skills events could you do?
I could do them all.
Because I know I saw a bunch of
I
our
haven't seen them all.
local media were out there, like Andy Dioso.
He had that at the Galaxy facility.
Well, Andy was out there. I go, how are you out? Are you out for the year now? He goes, yeah, I'm pretty bad. He's like, you think LAFC could use another Colombian on the team? I go, not another injured one.
We've had our fill of Colombians.
No, we can always get more Colombians. Just
We've done very well with Colombians.
We don't want injured. We need them to stay healthy.
Yeah, so Gio Garcia breaking some plates.
Oh yeah.
So
he's got a shot on him.
he played it safe, but he hit his targets.
Okay.
So it is. We've got to embrace it. But even if you don't feel like, get out there and make us all proud, which you always do. You do constantly, and that's why we love you. We're part of the family. We always thank you for checking on our podcast. We'll be back next Monday. We'll recap everything. We're gonna get.
Well, we'll have some Galaxy talk. I'm sure
some
next
Galaxy
Monday.
talk for sure, and we'll have some guests coming in, and we'll talk more to the players because we tape this on a Monday, and they usually don't train on Monday. But we're gonna fix that. We'll get some Monday games in there.
Okay. I mean, I think this Galaxy one we should probably go big.
Okay.
You think?
You know, when you were on that pod, that little stretch, I got Kobe Jones on one of them. I mean, I was very.
What are you trying to say that me and Kobe aren't cool?
No, but I was pulling that off was a little tricky because
I've been on podcasts.
Putting him into your airspace.
I've hosted podcasts on Gold Tech with Kobe Jones.
Good. Kobe's amazing,
great.
amazing.
We grilled each
person
other
in this U.S. soccer space.
We did a little LAFC Galaxy grilling of each other. It's fun. Good fun.
Have a great All-Star week, everybody. Download, share the podcast with your friends. And we're here. We're going to lift things up. Long way to go in the season. And we have a huge game on Saturday. So embrace it all. This is what we signed up for.
I love that line. This is what you signed up for.
It's fun.
Look, sports, the number one rule of sports, and no one will tell you this, but because you should just know is you can lose. There has to be a winner and a loser. When you decide to play in sports, you understand that there is a chance that you could lose. Just keep that in mind.
My friend, I'm sorry, this is going way too long, but my friend who says, I love basketball. I go, why? Because you miss so many more shots than you make. That makes it a beautiful game. You know when you shoot that, unless you're Steph Curry, it's probably not going to go in.
Unless you're Steph Curry.
But it goes in, and that opens it up, and it gets a second wave. I go, that's a great point. But that's what.
Well, then he should love soccer because you definitely don't score as many goals as you try.
He'll love LAFC recently.
Well,
they tried a lot and haven't gone in.
All right, yeah, we definitely gone too long now.
We'll leave it at that. We've gone too long.
See you
Thank you
guys
for your
next week.
support. We'll join you next week.